Hello, and welcome to episode 46 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth. He's a drifter, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
I nearly clipped half my pinky clean off.
but why?
Why? I mean, it was certainly intentional.
I never know. I never know how you're going to come in, where you're going to come in, if you're going to come in hot. I never know what's going to happen.
I am trying to get rid of some of the lag time leading into, like some of them when I'm not 100% sure, like I'll write it down so I can read it right off of it.
Right. I'm just like waiting for you to just blurt out anything at all now at this. So what happened?
Well, so I had a different thing I was going to blurt out, which was what we had discussed earlier, and we will discuss later as well. That's why I was keeping my my pinky out of the camera for the whole time. I was in a rush running somewhere today, and I jumped out of my car.
Pinky first, been there. Sorry. I said pinky first, been there.
Yeah, no. No, I jumped out of the car, and I immediately turned to my left, get out of the driver's side car, and I put my right hand on the door frame to swing it and slam it shut.
No.
But I was doing it quick, like all in one motion, like got out of the car, grabbed it, and as I grabbed the frame with my hand like inverted over, my thumb and my three middle fingers all were on the frame of the door, and I slipped past the edge, and I slammed it shut, and it clicked shut, and my pinky was still in it.
No.
And I felt it happen, but because I wasn't looking and wasn't paying attention and was preoccupied with not getting run over in the middle of the street because I was in the city of Newburgh, which admittedly isn't Manhattan, but it's a city. So I just felt...
As cities go.
I felt a pinch, and I just thought it was at the very end of my pinky. So I just yanked my hand back.
Oh, dude.
And it pulled clear out of the door. And I felt like a pinch, like and a scrape on just under the nail, towards the inside of the finger. And I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, that peeled back like some skin, but it's just like the dead skin, and I saw like a little line of red bubble up. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna bleed. Like whatever. I'll run inside, I'll go to the bathroom, no big deal. And now I'm walked halfway across the street, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't actually lock the door. Walk back, hit the button, on the handle to lock it, and started walking back across the street. And as I turned to look back at the finger to make sure it's not like pouring blood, so I don't want to get all over my clothes. And I see blood smeared all the way up to mid forearm.
No.
And I was like, but how? Especially because I'm looking at the spot that I saw peel up, and there's two little droplets of blood there. I'm like, this doesn't compute.
I'm concerned. Are you bleeding from somewhere else?
Yes. So then I realized that the entire bottom and outer half of my pinky went numb. And I turned my hand over, and I saw a huge gash / blood blister, like across the entire 2/3 of the three sections of your pinky. But the thing is, it was just a line of slice. It was just it was mashed so tight that it bled really bad, and then it swelled up so fast that it actually closed itself off. And then I ran inside and I cleaned it up, and it actually stopped bleeding pretty quickly. And I found a Band-Aid, but I couldn't really deal with it. And then I went to the gym later, and then I came home and I dealt with it.
Christ. Well,
yeah, it was exciting.
Now that we're down to one listener, how are you feeling?
Well, I figured I'd bind it up rather than just show you it's pretty gross. Yeah. It's my whole finger is black and blue on the bottom half.
It kind of looks like you're doing that sliding thumb. Your pinky looks a little swollen, like that lame dad sliding your thumb off. Yeah. I just realized you can see me, and I was trying to explain it to you.
Yes, as I'm watching you do it, and I know full well what you're talking about.
Oh, that concludes our body horror episode of Flix and a Six.
Well, it's a good thing this is purely an audio medium and not a video. Because which case I would have left it open, and then I would have done the field dressing and wrapping it back up like on air.
You should have just what you could have gotten away with is like opening the can and then screaming and then showing me your finger.
Like just like
what did you do?
See blood like splutter off. Totally worth it.
Oh my god, that'd be terrible. Wow.
Wasn't that worth derailing your intro for?
That was. You're going to have to top that next week. So I imagine you will be missing a toe. On this week's...
I do feel like I've gotten better at the disruption over the course of the last 3 weeks.
That is fair. On this week's episode, The Purge, Bad Boys for Life, Improv and Movies, Infinity War Edition, Predator gets a reboot, Movie Pass bleeds profusely, Iron Man's suit goes missing, all before diving into our Flick of the Week rat race. But first, Al... what are we drinking?
We are drinking something that makes me both happy and sad. It's kind of like that story I just told you about my eviscerated pinky. It's the Oyster Bay Brewing Barn Rocker Ale.
Bipolar Ale.
Yeah, Oyster Bay Brewing Barn Rocker Ale. So this was made by a Long Island brewery named Oyster Bay Brewing. That they made this as a special brew, like they did a special contract for the New York Islanders. They called the Nassau Coliseum, which up until a few years ago was their home, and starting next year will be their home for like a quarter of their home games or something stupid until eventually they build a new arena in a couple of years in Belmont. They went from having potentially no arenas to now having 3 arenas because they play at the Barclays Center for the last couple of years too. They're swimming in arenas.
Jesus.
So
where's the game tonight? I don't know.
That's gonna be a thing next year.
Yeah, you'll have tickets, but you'll show up to the wrong Coliseum. Oh, please. Only one of them is a Coliseum, right?
That would be hell. So yeah. Anyway, they called the Nassau Coliseum the old barn. So when the barn's rocking, Barn Rocker Ale.
Okay, thank you for. I would have no context here. Like
I'd
be like, oh, that's an orange hockey dude on the front of the blue can. that's
what I'm here for. Yeah, no, it's the color scheme is Islanders. They got the blue and the orange, right? Those are the right shades.
Nice.
Yeah, no, you know what it was? Is I saw as you can see, the coloration of the can is pretty vivid. But I saw the name Barn Rocker Ale out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh, I recognize that name. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that was for sale. I actually thought that it was like a one-off thing that they just did for one season. I didn't know they kept making it seasonally.
Okay.
And I never had a chance to drink it before this, so I was like, oh, I gotta try that. Even though this team makes me very sad. Because they're gonna lose.
So you could drink your tears away.
Yeah, no, they make me sad when they're not making me happy, and they make me sad more often than not over the last 25 years.
Oh.
And they're gonna make me very sad on July 1st when their best player, John Tavares, probably walks away in free agency, and he's like a top 5 player in the league. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, if you're not Islanders fans, you're probably laughing at me.
I'm just laughing at you, and I don't even know.
Exactly. So hopefully the beer is good to make up for the bittersweet feelings that this is giving me. Let's take a sip.
Question before we take a sip. Since we've already done oh, hang on, that's fun. Sorry, I was going over the bottle art here, can art. The star, is that where the Coliseum is?
No, I'm pretty sure that's where Oyster Bay is.
Okay, fair. Did you notice the whale tail on the bottom here?
Yeah, that's the brewery's logo.
I like that. I noticed it before. My hand was fully covering it, but there's the whole logo is on the back of the can, but at the very bottom there's like the whale swimming underneath the can.
Oh, I didn't see that. Even though it's directly under the logo.
I'm a fan. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
I'm gonna try a sound effect here. Let's see if we can get this one going. Yep.
Nice.
2 glasses.
That's better than me doing my empty can against this glass.
That is what I would expect to be drinking at a tap at a game of some kind. It's just,
it's like it's Pilsner-esque, very clean and balanced, and a little bit hoppy actually, which is but in a good way. It's not a bad thing. It's not overwhelming it. On the back, it says the Barn Rocker Ale, a crisp session ale made with the finest ingredients to create the perfect hockey beer. Brewed and canned in historic Oyster Bay, Long Island. Rock the barn with Oyster Bay.
So,
And what? Yeah, go ahead.
I imagine it's a session and low alcohol because you're going to be drinking a lot of these while you're there.
Probably.
Fair.
It's only 4.5% alcohol by volume, and now with stadiums and arenas, they cut you off after a certain point anyway.
Mm.
But
lucky for you, this comes in pints.
Yes, this comes in pints, of course. And on the bottom, if you look at the bottom of the can, although on mine it's a little bit mushed. It's a little bit mushed up.
But for you, it may look
better next to the date of birth, which I like that it says date of birth, not like canning date or whatever. You see what it says up above that?
Yes.
It says yes, which because that is what for the last several years Islanders fans do whenever the Islanders score a goal. They play their goal music, they play the whole thing and they get the crescendoing up, and then the music cuts and all of the fans in the building go, yes.
That's
and
cool.
The players like it. They've bought into it. You've seen in big moments when one of them score, they'll skate around the fist pump, and you'll see some of the guys, they'll join in on the yes.
That's fun. I like that
chant too.
I always appreciated that. I've been to a handful of different sporting events. I'm not a sports fan, as you know, or as you can tell by this, but I enjoy going to a live event of any kind. I find it fun. The atmosphere is cool, and then seeing good fans embracing people that aren't fans is also cool. So
yes,
that's awesome.
Depending on the level of sobriety, that's not always the case.
Oh no, I've seen that. But anyway, hold on. I would say this is an okay beer to me. This is not something that I'd be like. I mean, I would probably drink it if I was there. Depending on if I'm looking at this and I don't know, Bud Light and something like Coors on tap, then yeah, I'm going to be drinking this. But otherwise, I don't think I'd go out of my way for it.
Well, this is the real old world style of beer that was bastardized by Budweiser and Coors and Miller over the years.
I could see that.
This is a good representation of that style of beer.
Yeah.
But it's a beer that is made to be very stead and stoic. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's not supposed to wow you.
Right.
In its ridiculousness and boldness of flavor.
It's just drink this.
It is a little darker. The malt must have been a little darker than I'm accustomed to for this style of beer. Typically, it'll be a much paler, almost straw gold type of color. And this is okay. I mean, it's not quite amber, but it's a little bit a little bit toastier.
I can see that. Anyway, not bad. I'm not saying it's a loss. I'm just saying it's just not my particular flavor. But
definitely the style of beer played it a little bit safer than the last several that I've chosen.
yeah. You took some risks, and they all paid off.
Yes, and we'll have more of that in the near future.
Well, this is our phase 2, so you gotta start low and you gotta rise. So we can't start off with one of those crazy ass Jack's Abbeys that blows us away.
Well, I'm pretty excited for the next few. You have them with you. I think you have 3 more at the house. You have a Jack's Abbey.
Yep.
You have a Ithaca beer.
Yep.
And then was it from Evil Twin? I think the last one is.
1, 2, 3. There's 4 of them, I think, or 5. I might have some in here that aren't from you.
Yeah, no, I think you have. I think you have 3 more from me.
Oh, okay. There's 3. No, there's 3 cans and a bottle.
Should be 2 cans in a bottle.
Huh.
What's the third can? What's the third can?
That's a good question. Crooked something? Is that from you?
I don't think so.
All right. Hey, we got a mystery beer. All right, maybe we'll just drink that next time you're here. Well, also, my sister got me oh my God. You know what? Here's a fun story. So my sister likes to do scavenger hunts for your birthday present.
Oh, I know what your sister got you.
She doesn't just give you a gift, she gives you a journey to get the gift. She gives
you a journey.
And so it starts off where, now here's the crazy thing. We had everybody over for my birthday on Saturday. My birthday was on Tuesday. There were clues hidden throughout the house that I didn't find accidentally. They're pretty well hidden. And she gives you a riddle, and then you got to find the first clue. You find that clue, and on there is a riddle to the next clue. It's all. I'm just gonna run you through it real quick. First clue ends up being under the mattress, so I had to lift the mattress and pull the first clue out. The second clue was downstairs under the litter box where the cats go, and the third clue was buried in the recliner. The fourth clue was outside in the mailbox. The fifth clue was outside in the shed. And the last clue was buried in the front yard. I don't know how she got away with this.
So, the morning after your party, while you were passed out on the couch, your sister went outside and said, well, didn't say, she did this complex signing to me, not in American Sign Language,
right?
Some sort of thing that she came up with, that I should not allow
some
you
sort
to
of interpretive dance.
Yes, kind of actually. That I should not allow you to look out the front window, and I was like, he's asleep.
Yeah, there's no shot I was looking out the front window.
But if I should see him sit up and whip his head around to look out the front window for some strange reason, I'll tackle him, I guess.
He's just, no, why?
Don't worry about it. The thing is, I thought she was going out to get something from her car, but I'm quite sure now that you've told me the story that is what she was doing.
Yeah, she was burying the last clue.
Because she told me afterwards that she wasn't giving you your birthday present until your actual birthday.
Yeah.
And I know what she gave you because I had input into that.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, the last clue was it was just, this would have saved you a lot of time if you found this first for your present. Ask your wife. And Kim was standing right there. I was like, is it in the guest room? She's like, it's in the guest room. So, lo and behold, giant bucket of beer, which it sounds like you had some input on. So we could totally do a sharing, tasting episode of all that stuff. That could work. But there's plenty more beer on tap for this show. That's what
we could do a very special beer episode before our other special episode that we still have not had a chance to do yet.
That's okay. That's fair. We'll have to get that done. Moving on to our first story of the night, The Purge. Did you see The Purge?
No.
Did you see the second one?
No.
I'm pretty sure there's a third one coming out now.
I think there's a third one out already, isn't there?
And now there's a TV show going.
Sorry, I did not know that.
TV show or being announced or under production or whatever. This thing seems to have legs, and it just flew under the radar for me. When I remember seeing the first Purge trailer and being like, I'd see that movie. Not in theaters, but I'll watch it. And then I never got around to it.
I experienced that in 100% the same fashion.
Yeah.
Right? Beat for beat, all those exact words basically passed through my mind at some point.
Clearly,
that looks kind of interesting. I think I'll go see that at some point. I'm probably not going to see it in theaters, but I'll check it out, and then never checked it out.
I'm definitely going to see that at some point, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
But just something that I feel like I need to go catch up on, because if it's all these things are getting greenlit, it's got to have enough of a following.
I saw 5 or 10 minutes of, I think, the second one. I want to say there's 3 of them.
I mean, we could look this up, but I like trying to figure it out. The Purge. I don't even know.
Is this like a prequel or something?
So, okay, what do we got here? We have plot. No, we're not going to go through that because I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, yeah, so I see The Purge, then I see The Purge election year, which I think is the one that I saw part of, and then The Purge Anarchy, those were the reversed. So there was 3, and then I see the first Purge.
Wait. Oh, yeah, okay, so you're right. There was one
This film will be a prequel that will focus on the events that lead up to the very first Purge event.
And that's
coming out this year.
I was going to say, we saw a trailer for this at something that we saw recently.
I didn't.
Oh, I saw it during the Super Troopers 2.
Oh, okay.
Reel. Yeah, but I was just surprised. When I saw that, I was like, another one? Maybe I'll see that. sometime. It just every time one comes around, it does pique my interest because it sounds like a fun concept for a movie.
He wouldn't go see it.
I'm gonna go see that. He didn't.
I figured it's perfect with Arrested Development being back and coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I started rewatching with my sister because she never saw any of the fourth season.
Okay.
I was like, don't even bother. We'll just watch the new format.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we watched the first 3, and it's definitely way more enjoyable in this way.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that.
It's still a bit clunky getting started because of that whole bridging that 18-month thing. They still do a little bit of that jumping back thing, but it's better. But from what I understand, after like the 4th or 5th, it's like straight shot the way that the show would be.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear.
And like there was legitimately really funny jokes and scenes that I forgot about that I was laughing at. It was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was funny. Or I don't remember that at all. That's funny as shit. Like,
right. I'm excited. I'm gonna have to get through that. I do want to start from the beginning though, just because it's been a while. But
oh, you mean the first season?
Yeah, I feel like I can get that done. We'll see.
Well, I know it's gonna take me a while to cruise through all of even season 4 because I'll probably just watch it with her.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's fun to watch with a buddy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's The Purge for you. I was actually curious about it. I think that maybe we'll get together and do an episode on that at some point in the future. Like watch them as a whole. Maybe Halloween. We could do around Halloween. Go through all those.
It sounds like
a chore when you put 3 together, huh?
It sounds like we're gonna need all of that alcohol from your birthday gift to do that episode.
Yeah. So that episode might not happen. Anyway, I'll see it at some point.
Sure.
Sure. It's gonna have to take very little effort on my part. Like it's gonna have to be like on the TV, and I can't reach the remote. The problem is I don't actually have like a standard TV setup, so I'm never actually flipping through channels. So this actually can't happen. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, because we've all been there before, where you watch all of a movie, or even just part of one, where you turn on the TV and it's like, what's this about?
Yeah. Or it's a movie that I own, have seen 400 times on DVD, and it's on TV, and I'm like, gotta watch it.
Well, sure.
We all have those. Anyway, that's The Purge for you. Moving on, this movie I will definitely be seeing. It's got a release date, I think it was January 2020, so it's a little ways out. But Bad Boys for Life.
I did see there was a story about that today, yeah.
Are you a fan of the Bad Boys films?
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen all of the first one, actually.
Oh, no.
I've seen all of the second one, but I don't remember it all.
It is just straight up nonsense fun. It's over the top. It's crazy action. It's ridiculously silly dialogue and this wonderful relationship between these two characters. You gotta check it out.
They do obviously have an entertaining, back and forth. They definitely have chemistry together. I remember bits of the second one, like some of the big funny scenes. Like I remember like him doing that, the acid or whatever, and being in the chief's house or whatever. He jumps in the shower, all that shit. Like the whole thing with the guy coming over to take his daughter out, that.
Oh my god, that's such a great setup.
You ever made love to a man before? You want to?
Oh man, those movies cracked me up, and every time I watch them, it's funny because I know how good they are, and I know how much I like them, and then when I watch it again, I'm still surprised at how fun they are to watch. So yeah. they do hold up. And it's totally worth checking out if you haven't. Maybe we'll watch those together. Those would be fun. Those would be fun to watch together over a few beers. And maybe we'll just record us watching them. But great movies. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. They're getting up in age, so it's going to be like Lethal Weapon.
It is kind of now or never.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I feel like the concept has been around for a very long time. So I'm wondering how much the story of the idea has changed over time, because I'm sure at the original inception of the idea, they were a lot younger, and it would have been crazy over the top. Now they're older. They definitely have to pepper in some of the "I'm too old for this shit" style.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, I'm excited for that. But it's a long ways out. It's far enough out that there's a chance it doesn't happen.
Yes.
You know, which is unfortunate because I've been wanting that for quite some time. Our next story is Improv in the movies. Now, we've touched on this before. Every once in a while, you'll come across an article about some line or some scene that was improv and ends up being like the best scene or the funniest scene of the movie. And it's just, I love that because when you find that out, like knowing that they're having a good time doing this, because the one that we're going to get to in a minute, you know that these characters lost it when the line is said. Like, and that to me, like just knowing that they're having a good time is really fun. And
so that was the line I was going to use to throw you off this time because we were talking about it. Was it earlier today or yesterday? Mm-hmm. I forget now.
I think it was today. I just texted you the line.
Yes. But the thing is, like an hour or so before you did that, I saw the story about how it made it into the movie. Yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be what I was going to do until I almost snipped my finger in half.
Yeah, that then you had something better.
Yes,
it landed on the cutting room floor with your finger.
My pinky.
Oh my god. So the line, which we're going to tell you in a second, I'm going to say this isn't a spoiler for Infinity War. It is a spoiler for a line in Infinity War. And
as long as you do the setup properly, it's not a spoiler.
You do it because you have it already mapped out.
So understand that in this situation, the Guardians of the Galaxy have decided to split up to do a couple of different missions. They have not yet met anyone from Earth. And they run into... So you have Star-Lord, Drax, and Mantis run into Tony Stark, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange. They fight because each of them doesn't trust the other ones. And you end up with... I'm not entirely sure what Mantis was doing, nor Doctor Strange, but you have Star-Lord holding Spider-Man hostage, and you have Tony Stark stepping on Drax's chest and with a gun on him, and they, get into a Mexican standoff type of situation. And Peter Quill yells at them, "Where's Gamora?" To which, was it Stark?
Tony, yeah.
Replied, "I'll do you one better. Who is Gamora?" To which Drax finishes off and says, "I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?"
And that was one of those lines though that we cracked up as it was said, and then you can't hear anything else that happened because of the crappy theater audio that we were in.
That was so bad.
But anyway, that "why is Gamora?" and that is the line that was improv. Because it sounds like they did from what I was reading, they did the scene a few times, and when they did that, he just threw that in there. And you have to imagine that they lost their shit when he said that.
Absolutely.
Because that's really funny if it was written in there. Like you'd read that in the script and you'd probably chuckle out loud reading the script. Yes. But then to hear that just happen, like him taking on this character so well, like so well. And
he's almost become that character as much as like Ryan Reynolds has become Deadpool.
Right. Which is great. And very unexpected.
Well, I mean, any character is going to be better when the person playing them takes real, true ownership of the character.
Right. Absolutely. But I'll say, like the article that I was reading that led me down this rabbit hole of reading other articles about this scene and other people's takes and stuff, was Drax just became my favorite character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I was like, that was the title of it. And I was like, I'll buy it. And I read it and it went into this improv thing. I was like, this is great. And then I just thought about all of the amazing Drax lines throughout. And they're so silly. And he's such a well-written, like, dumb character.
Yes. Well, it's funny because you texted me about it, and it was a little while after I read it. And I'm, like, chuckling. And my sister, who's seen the first Guardians and several other movies in the MCU, but she has not seen all of Guardians 2. I think she caught a bit of it. And she didn't see Infinity War yet, but she's functionally aware of Drax and his deal.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so you remember how like the whole thing was like he didn't get any metaphors in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
He becomes like
nothing goes over my head. I would catch it.
Exactly. That was exactly what I used.
I have incredible.
And I was like, he went to like having only stupid like puns and shit like that in the second one, which were hysterical, and so I could explain the setup, telling her about this stupid line, and she's laughing at it. And it was like I think my favorite one of his in the second one, I was like, well, for one, is just him tormenting Mantis, which is hysterical. But I said the best joke.
I'm thinking of us being physical together.
The best joke in the whole second one was one that you almost could have missed when it happened, because it was a setup an hour earlier in the movie when he says, "I don't like jetpacks, they chafe my nipples."
Yep.
And then you're in the middle of the world falling apart around them, literally, and someone slaps a jetpack on his back, and it pops into form, and he screams as the jetpack is lifting him in the air, "Ow, my nipples!" And she almost fell down laughing at this.
Yeah. It's funny because I like, for whatever reason, I'm a glutton for pain. I like to read the opposite side of the argument, or like of the story and the feeling for this. So like people that will say like his character is just like stupid and unnecessary because of these things, but like these are family friendly fun movies, and he is the fun character in all of the moments. Infinity War is a very serious movie. Anything like the majority of the things that you're laughing at, he's around for it.
Yeah,
and he's just this comic relief character, and it's great.
Well, there's two things. One, comic relief doesn't work if one of two things isn't happening. One, if that is literally the only thing that they can do,
right?
Can't have any other effect on the plot or any other character development of their own, of which he takes care of both things. And two, he has to be legitimately and genuinely funny. And he is. Mm-hmm. So thus, 100%. The role of comedic relief is not offensive because he's doing serious heavy lifting, even if it's not always heavy lifting of the plot itself.
Right. Yeah, I love Drax, and I think I mentioned it last time. I've started watching Guardians of the Galaxy again, and it's just such a great movie. It may be my favorite. I really would love to go through, like, catalog all of them again and then decide which one is my number one. But that one would definitely be up there. Our next story goes to the Predator reboot. So I've read an article earlier in the week about a Predator movie, and I just stopped and I went, no. I was upset. I was like, why are we doing this again?
No, it's been a big deal for a long time.
I probably have ignored it because anytime I see it, I'm just like, I'm done here. Because I was a huge fan of the original Predator.
Yeah.
And, got the VHS still locked away. But I was like, I don't need this. I was like, you tried this before. You tried bringing this back before. It's fine. It's like fun for, I don't know, 2/3 of the movie. And then you're like, I can go to sleep now. But then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, I'm in. I don't know why. I don't know how or why, but I was just like, this. For whatever reason, it had that draw, and I actually really want to see this.
Well, so when I first heard that they were doing another Predator, right, I was like, pass. Then I saw that they hired Shane Black to do it,
mm-hmm. Who was in the first one.
Well, that's the thing. One, in his own right, he's a solid director, mm-hmm. And two, he was an actor in the original one, so he has a connection to the material.
Right.
And then I started seeing who they were casting, and I like a lot of the people in the cast. Mm-hmm. So I'm not like super hyped for the movie, but I will want to go and see the movie.
Yeah, we'll almost certainly be doing an episode on this.
Like when they did that Predators movie a few years ago, I don't really care for that cast, even though there's a decent amount of like names. Like there's a couple of people who I'm like, oh yeah, I don't mind them. Yeah. I legitimately enjoy a bunch of people in the cast for this one.
Right, like such as
Keegan-Michael Key.
Yep.
Yvonne Strahovski. Sterling K. Brown's like good, which that thing I sent you.
Can you read that? Do you know what it's from? Can you cite it so that you can read it?
It was an article in The Ringer that I saw today in reaction to the trailer having been released today. I know by the time you guys hear this, the trailer will have been like a week old.
Or two.
Or two. Yeah. No, it'll be one week old. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
So this was the The Ringer will do articles like this occasionally. The trailer for the Predator is out, so let's figure out who's going to kill the thing. That is the so they took the 13 people who were like the top, or 11 people who were like the top credited cast and like people you see in the trailer, and they ranked them mostly satirically and in a joking fashion.
Sure.
So number 6 was Sterling K. Brown, and they said, in a perfect world, Sterling K. Brown would deliver one of his tear-inducing "This Is Us" monologues about family, and the Predator would begin crying through his weird alien face, realize it is harming innocent humans for mere sport, and pack its bags on the spaceship it came from to live a life of pacifism. But this movie is not called This Is Predator, and Brown is playing a government agent. Even if he somehow doesn't die, there is no way he's killing the Predator.
That's my favorite line. Even if he somehow does, he's gonna die. Like, the scientist is gonna die.
Well, he's got a few things: government agent, scientist. He's a black guy. The black guy always dies in the horror movie. That's probably the wrong way to do things, but like they made all sorts of jokes about that
right
for many years, and all sorts of things like usually the black guy does not make it to the end of the movie.
Oh my god.
It's really weird that is the trope.
Right. Oh my. But what struck me, I was after I watched the trailer, I was reading this like short write up on it. It's taking place 30 years after the original Predator.
Sure.
And it's tied to the original story. And I thought when I read that it was Predator, I was like, oh, we're just starting from scratch again. Like, are we
it's the Predator.
Sorry, the Predator. But does this tie into the other? Like, this whole Alien Predator universe is really just frustrating for someone that likes to know a timeline.
It ties, timeline-wise, it ties into the first 2. And a reason I know that 2 is included is because, actually, I only knew it because of this article. The least likely of the top credited people in it to kill the Predator was Jake Busey.
Yep.
Because Gary Busey is in Predator 2.
He's in the second one?
I believe so.
I thought he was in the first one.
No, I don't believe Gary Busey was in the first one. And no. I believe he is playing that character's son.
Yes. That part I knew, that he's playing the son. That came up as well. But I don't remember.
Unless they had it wrong in this, I'm pretty sure. I rewatched a lot of the original Predator recently. Like, not super paying close attention to it. It was one of those things where it was just on and in the background. I don't recall Gary Busey being in the first one. And okay. I've never seen all of the second one, so I imagine that's the one that he was in.
I think I've seen the second one maybe twice.
I have only ever seen the part from which, like, Danny Glover gets onto the ship. Oh, okay. And I've seen that part like 3 times.
Gotcha.
Like,
yeah, I think you're right. I think he is in the second one.
I've maybe seen 10 minutes prior to that, and I don't remember it.
Predator 2 is a funny sequel. You're right. Gary Busey was in the second one. Because it's very different with like no reoccurring people, right? From the first one, if I remember correctly.
Well, considering they all died.
Well, that's a good point.
Spoiler alert, guys.
But like, okay, so we have Predator, the original movie, Predator 2. We've got Alien vs. Predator. I think there's a second one of those. We got Predators.
Was Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Okay, there you go. So,
which I saw part of.
Are they all supposed to be part of the same universe?
I want to say they're probably wiping those out.
Interesting. What about Predators? Is that the one that came out?
They should probably wipe that one out too. But the thing is, chronologically and such, it's really not important. They didn't do anything new in that should matter. So you can ignore it without actually having to officially wipe it off the record.
Except for the fact that the people were on the Predator hunting planet. Yeah,
but they all die. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was just like that whole concept is weird. So like they were taken and dropped there. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just
so I'm saying it's kind of irrelevant to it all.
But like it's a well cut trailer, the new one, and I was like, oh, like, yeah, like I'm in. I want to watch this. This looks fun.
Oh, Olivia Munn's in it too, and I like her.
Yep. Anyway, so we'll definitely be doing an episode on that. We'll probably catch that one pretty close to its release. Our next story is MoviePass is hemorrhaging money. So there was this. We know this. We know that it sounds like the worst business deal of all time. It's still going. The number that struck me in the article was $21.7 million per month burn rate.
Yeah, it was pretty excessive.
That's are they like? How is it? How does my card still work? Like that's my question.
Well, they took on investment, like a decent amount of it, and they've just been using all of that money to fund their, the actual operation of you being able to take advantage of the movie theaters. And the whole idea is to keep that model alive long enough to get enough subscriptions to break even. So it's a race against the clock.
Could you though? But plus some sort of profitability from concessions and partnerships with theaters.
Well, that too, but that's the secondary thing. The whole thing is if you get enough subscribers, then the movie theaters are incentivized to partner with you.
Sure, but they're never going to break even or profit from subscriptions alone because of what the subscription does.
It will if they keep offering these different packages. That's what we talked about last week. I haven't looked at the books, man, so I don't have all the details. I'm just telling you what was in the article that I had read the other day.
I'm just convinced that the company is run by the Joker.
I mean, it does seem like a Ponzi scheme.
He's just burning that pile of cash. That's what's happening over there. He's giving it to people to go see movies and burning the other half.
Well, you're probably right because they were pretty pissed and didn't want to partner with them. So you could also just take that whole scene where he sits down with the mob bosses and goes, "I want half."
Yeah. Wow. So I feel like this will be ending. What if you had to guess? Does this somehow make it through, or does it end? My guess is that it doesn't make it through the rest of this year.
Well, I think in the article I read it said they have enough cash for at least 3 more months.
Yeah.
At least. Give or take. Ipso facto, etc., so on.
Yeah, I'm your boss. Oh my god. Anyway, MoviePass. We'll keep you posted on that. I think I just got to make sure that I use it a few more times before it goes out.
Yeah, see, this is why I didn't buy in, because I felt like somehow I was going to be the one who had to pay for that $21 million at some point.
Right. It was in the fine print.
Yeah,
you owe us for all of those movies you saw, by the way.
I wasn't going to read the fine print and the boilerplate stuff, and somehow the musical chairs was going to end, and I'm holding the bag for the final month of $21 million.
That bag is filled with explosives, and the fuse is lit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So the final story on this list, Iron Man goes missing. So it was just a funny thing. I didn't look too far into it, but the original Iron Man outfit is missing from the storage unit.
Didn't they catch the guy?
I don't know. This was when I read it. It was like that. They were looking for it. I
thought I remember hearing that they caught him or they identified him. I'm not sure.
But this is one of those things where it's I don't care at all. I really don't. It was just funny to me. I was like, somebody was like, I'm gonna take this. This is mine now. I fully believe that the person that took this thing has no intention of selling it or making money off of it. Just wants to own the Iron Man suit.
Well, I feel like it's probably gonna end with the person caught in a room and they come in with guns drawn,
and he's throwing his hands up in the air, going, "Pew!"
Well, I'm just picturing him in it doing his best impression of Robert Downey Jr. at the end of the first Iron Man, saying, "I am Iron Man." Yeah. It's either that or it's Jim Carrey at the end of Batman Forever saying, "I am the Batman,"
Batman.
as he's flapping his arms.
Oh man, what a great movie. I need to watch that right now.
Batman Forever, best worst movie you've ever seen.
It's so good. So good. Shall we move on to our flick of the week?
No, I have two other quick
You
stories.
got nuggets?
Two nuggets.
Al's got nuggets.
One of the nuggets, everyone is well aware.
Everyone dies in the end. Damn it, Al.
Everyone's well aware, whether just because they follow our show or because they, are on the internet, is well aware of Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds' marketing. And a couple days ago, he mocked the letter that Thanos wrote to fans telling them not to spoil the ending. And so the Russos responded back to him with a picture of the Infinity Gauntlet with the middle finger up.
That's awesome. I love that.
I
feel he has so much fun with this. Like, it's whatever they're doing and whatever PR team is. But I'm sure there's a PR team, but part of me wants to believe that it's just Ryan Reynolds losing his mind out there on Twitter.
I'm sure that there has to be some handler, reining him in. But I do believe that he is the originator of a lot of these ideas.
That's great. Oh my god. I can't think of Deadpool 2 and not think of the Bob Ross.
Oh my gosh!
Trailer.
Let's just whack off real quick.
That off right here. And what is he's like? Oh my goodness! He turns around like the painting's completely done.
Yep.
It's amazing. I love it.
So I'm glad that the Russos can laugh with all. I mean, why not? Disney's going to own it eventually, unless that weird Comcast bid somehow undercuts it, which that's doubtful. Disney's going to win, I think so. But that's the end of that nugget. The other nugget I only bring up because I know the other day when I was at your house, you were talking about it. Did you hear today that Brooklyn Nine-Nine was canceled?
No.
Yes.
No, it was.
Yes.
That's terrible news. I'm devastated.
I know a lot of people like
so
the show,
good.
So I figured I'd address it. I know you like the show.
You know what this is going to do? Now, every time I notice a show is still on, I'm going to be like, that?
There was a lot of that going on Twitter this afternoon, whenever it was that was announced. The best one I saw, I think, was someone said, there's been 41 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Have they not covered all of the anatomical parts of Grey yet?
Oh my god. That's terrible. So canceled in what way? Is the season finishing?
Yeah, no, I think they're going to release all the episodes. I forgot to actually read the story. I just it's just not being renewed.
That's miserable. That makes me sad.
Which is a bold choice by Fox because their two biggest comedies are going off the air after this season. Then because New Girl planned finish is done next week. Well, by the time this airs, it'll have been finished a couple days before. I guess. It's a
short season?
Yes, the final season was only 8 episodes, and there was 2 this week, and there's 2 next week.
Oh, damn! Wow, I didn't realize I was halfway through.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I knew it was shortened. I hadn't done the math on how many were left, but I didn't realize I was out late Tuesday. Buddy of mine is moving, away. Mm-hmm. So we went out to hang out for him because he's leaving in a couple of days. And I came home and I was like, I was hungry. I hadn't fucking eaten since after I'd gone to the gym, and it was like 6 hours. So I was like, oh, let me eat something, throw on the TV. It was like, oh, New Girl was on. Let me throw on the episode. And then the episode was over, and it's like, stay tuned for another New Girl. I was like, what?
Is this how you TV now?
Yeah, there was another episode on. I was like, oh, great. And then at the end of that one, it was like, next week, 2 more episodes. It's the series finale of New Girl. It's like, oh no, crazy. It's going to be over so fast.
Yeah. Oh man, that is sad because I feel like it's been very silly and very fun.
Yeah. No, that is surprisingly, I enjoy that show very much. I did not have any anticipation of enjoying that show. There was no reason that I was going to. Yeah. I wasn't a huge Zooey Deschanel fan. I'm still not really. And I didn't know any of the guys on the show. And a couple of my friends were like, oh, the show's really funny. You should watch it. And I started watching it. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is good.
Wow. I feel like Oh man, I'm thrown off by this Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing. That's terrible news. Way to spoil the Nuggets, Jesus.
Sorry,
Terrible.
it's been this episode's been a roller coaster so far. We have
it has
possibly decapitated fingers. We have odd bittersweet beers. We have just the ruining of a show, ending of the show. All sorts of stuff.
just horrible. Let's move on to something much better.
Rat Race.
Our flick of the week. Yep, Rat Race. So when did we just decided to do this while you were here, right? This weekend?
I don't even remember how or why, but you were just all of a sudden like, Rat Race, that was a good movie. And I was like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't think there was any context to that.
I really, it was like, there must have just been something that either Kim or your sister said that was just like vaguely reminiscent of it. And it was just like, you were just like, I liked Rat Race. And I was like, yeah, me too. And you're like, we should do an episode on that sometime. I was like, okay, sure. Let's do it this week.
Like, we're throwing it back to 2001 right now. And man, this movie, I've watched this movie a lot. I've seen it probably way too many times.
Yeah, no, I've seen it a lot of times.
And that being said, I rewatched it tonight before.
Yeah,
before
I didn't.
recording.
I did not do prep. I caught like 5 minutes of it the other night.
That's fine. I realized like there were certain scenes in sequence that I kind of forgot, but as soon as they started to happen, I was like, okay, I remember exactly what this is going, because I was very familiar with the movie back when this was, I think, one of those movies that I probably went to like on my birthday with all my friends.
I mean, it's a frenetic movie. Like, it's not particularly long, and there's always something happening, and it's just constantly cutting. Next thing. The pacing is pretty incredible. It's adrenaline.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the notes that I had to hear too. Like, the pacing is excellent, and like there's not a dull moment, and it does a really good job of managing a lot of characters.
Well, the only downtime are like setups, like plot setups to the next joke, and they don't like drag. No, and it's like, even when you're like what the hell's going on here, the payoff ends up being worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole thing is, and it's funny. It's like I feel like watching it, I feel like people probably have some sort of bad reaction to this movie, but I love it, and I don't even want to look it up. I don't even want to read poor review because it's so fun and so near and dear to my heart. I love this movie.
I don't know how it was reviewed. I can't say that I remember there being any big outcry or national conversation about the movie. Mm-hmm. But I know that the handful of times that for whatever reason this movie has come up in conversation, everyone I've talked to has enjoyed the movie. So not like everyone has been in love with it per se, but everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I like that movie."
Oh yeah,
that movie was funny.
That's fine. Like that could be your take. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine going through this movie. Well, there's two things I can't imagine. One, going through this movie and not like bursting out laughing at least once. There's at least some funny thing for you because there's every type of comedy in here.
Oh yeah, no, there's several laugh out loud funny.
So there's that.
I defy you to not laugh when Cuba Gooding Jr. is in the bathroom at that bus stop.
Her vagina.
Just that line.
Yeah,
the way he delivers that line.
It's perfect. But like I agree. You defy that. I defy you to pretend to know where any scene is going. The first time you see this movie.
One scene. I knew they were stealing the rocket car.
Okay. Okay, that's fair because you saw the rocket car. Prior to that, they're running through the desert, catching up to a tent, you have no idea where this scene is going.
Fair.
You do not know there's going to be a rocket car. So let's take it back for a second. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. So we have this like ensemble cast of mediocrity. But it works so well, and I think that's part of the brilliance of this. Like, there's no person there that could overshadow somebody else, especially at the time. It
is a masterfully crafted cast of beloved B and C list actors.
Yeah, it really putting them all together turns this movie into a powerhouse.
Actually, that's not fair. Whoopi Goldberg was pretty famous.
Okay, and here's what I'll say to that though: anybody that is famous or like would be like more A-list, they don't have a ton of screen time.
Yes, they do.
They are supporting
her
roles.
from being in the where they just like they didn't just like jam her in your face like throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Like, if one more second of screen time and John Cleese steals the entire movie and is front and center the funniest thing that ever was.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could argue that he steals it a decent amount, like just because he's funny as hell. Like, I love John Cleese.
So funny in this movie. He's out of control. He's out of his mind. He's rich beyond belief. I can do whatever I want. I'm eccentric.
Which should be a jumping the shark moment, but it's so on the nose for this that it's like, no, it is perfectly insane.
So let's dive right to that. So we're obviously, this movie came out in 2001. We're obviously talking about specific scenes of this movie. It's a well, I'll pause here if we're selling you on this and you haven't seen it for some reason. The concept is just there's a group of people that know nothing about each other. By some circumstance, they came into this room and they were given an opportunity, a 1 in 6 chance of winning $2 million. And they meet John Cleese, who gives them the instructions. They each get a key. They now go on this race, and it is a mad, 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 mad world.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a modernization of a mad, mad world. Yeah, and also crucial detail that these 6 people think they've been randomly selected, whereas they have been carefully.
They've been curated.
Yes.
Yeah, which is great.
Because they are the center of a high-stakes gambling tournament.
That is the greatest part of this, is there's this actual, like, there's this the main plot of the movie is totally not, like, it's this underlying plot that is actually more, like, real and, like, more ridiculous and, like, the driver for everything going on. And it's that all these rich people that these eccentric folks that have no idea what to do with their money. So John Cleese comes up with these absurd bets.
Well, yeah, the bets on each of them who is going to win.
Yep.
And then to tide them over during the course of this race that takes them a full day to go from Las Vegas to Silver City, New Mexico. They have all these other ridiculous competitions and bets throughout the course of it. Like when they jump on the private jet and it's who bets on who's going to throw up first amongst them.
That is,
and the pilot is purposely like looping and swooping and like roller coastering to make one of them throw up.
So ridiculous. The other one is, they're all absurd. The other one is there's the maids are hanging they're like hanging from the curtain rod, and whoever falls last is the winner.
Yes.
Like that.
Whoever holds onto the curtain rod the
longest. So dumb. And then
the one with his
the hooker?
Autistic like assistant who they got him to hire a prostitute.
Yes.
And they gave him the most ridiculous script in which he's going to pitch to her and see how much it was going to cost. Yep. And like Price is Right, see who can guess
naked,
closest to the
sailor
price.
Hats, Pepto-Bismol, shave,
clipping each other's toenails.
What I love, and here's what's brilliant about it, and this is why I think this movie deserves a lot more credit than I feel like it gets, because nobody else I feel like I don't remember people talking about this, but that comes back. That character comes back and plays a role. Yes, later on in the movie.
That may have been the biggest curveball in the whole movie.
It's great. It's so good. But out of all of those bets, my favorite one is the chocolate tasting. Coconut. Right. Who had coconut? And it's because it's the first one that you see.
Yes.
And it's just the shock factor of that and how ridiculous it is. It's so funny. But so
actually, no, we didn't even talk about the fact that not just all these things with all the betting, the thing with the prostitute when they have him do this and wait to see what she says, the fact that it seems like he's in an empty hotel room, and we've seen them have cameras set up all over the place, and they're watching from this control room.
But not this time.
In this one, every one of these like 30 people is hiding in this hotel room, and you can't see any of them. You have no idea. And the second that she says the price,
so well done.
Every one of them pops out from curtains, behind the couch, in the next room, like under the counter, like under the table. Like
it's so ridiculous. It's just pure silliness the entire time. But there's so going back to Donald Sinclair, that's John Cleese's character,
yes.
The eccentric billionaire. The initial meeting that they had, and this is funny because I was watching it with Kim. Saw it when she was really young and hadn't seen it again since, and I don't think she really remembered anything about it. But like that first scene where you see him, if you don't know anything about the movie going in, where he's like, I've gathered you all in this room. There's a meteor coming towards Earth. I've selected you guys to survive the blast and to repopulate the Earth. And then cracks himself up and says he couldn't resist. Like, he literally does not know what to do with himself.
No.
And it's so good. And he's so silly, and he's having so much fun with this. One of my favorite lines in the movie is when he has them all sitting around the table and he says, let's cut to the chase, and he just starts hysterically laughing. But he hasn't told them all about the race yet, so they don't get it.
Yes.
And he goes, no, you'll laugh later. Like, the setup of that, and then just the way that it dies out, it's just all so funny. And then on top of that, he's, in his mind, this is exciting for them, and they should just understand where he's coming from, and it should be great, and they should be ready to do this. That's where he's coming from. And he explains the race to them, and he goes, go.
Yes.
and
nobody they don't go until he pulls the gun out.
Right. Nobody moves, and they start asking questions. Like Seth Green goes, what are the rules? And he's like, there are no rules. You ready for the rules? Yeah.
There's only one rule. You ready for it? There are no rules.
Go. And again, nobody moves, and they're talking, and he goes, so it's a race. And he goes, technically you've been racing for about 40 seconds, and Nick is in the lead because he's closest to the door. And he's like getting agitated now.
Yes.
And it's oh my god. He cracks me up, and his delivery is just perfect.
Yep.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And then he has because on top he's like got these quick one-liners. Mr. Grisham was tragically born without a personality. I love it. The writing is great. These characters are just so silly. And then so jumping back to the we were talking earlier about the pacing of the movie is really good. They do a very good job of, most movies that have a lot of characters like this do it poorly, where you are introduced to one character after another, and it's like quick cuts. It's like, here's this person, here's this person, here's this person, and you're supposed to get something out of this. They do a very good job of tying that together nicely. They're all in the same place, and the transitions between characters and scenes works. And It's never jarring to me.
No.
Which I really liked.
Because a lot of times when they stick with a storyline for a fairly long amount of time, it's like, okay, like that was good, but I feel like we haven't seen what they're doing in a while. Like, what are they up to?
Right.
So you're ready for the cut to come.
Exactly. It's really well done. So if we were to run through the list of this ensemble cast, you have Cuba Gooding Jr., who is the washed-up NFL coach that can't get anything right.
No, referee.
Oh, sorry, referee. That can't get anything right.
Referee who botched a huge
the coin toss
in overtime. And he botched the coin toss. Just could not get whether the coin flipped to heads or tails properly right. And it ruined the game. It ruined betting everywhere. Everyone hates it.
And perhaps Whoopi Goldberg's best line in the movie, "You're the guy from TV, the bonehead."
Yes.
Oh man! So you have him, and that theme carries him throughout the movie. This thing haunts him the entire movie, and he can't do things right.
Yes,
like he screws everything up as he goes. We've got Nick, who's the straight edge guy. The what?
The cynic.
Yeah. Exactly. He's not this. The whole thing's a scam. I'm going to be on this 11 o'clock flight
he's
home.
kind of like the proxy for the audience.
Yep.
Because he's the cynic. Because if this movie wasn't made in 2001, if this movie was made now, there's no money at the end of the rainbow here.
Right.
The whole thing is, and he's like, this isn't real. Like, people like Donald Sinclair don't just give away money. It's like, there's got to be some angle, which there was an angle, but really, truly, the angle had nothing to do with them.
They were straight. They were going to give them the money.
Was going to get the money.
I love that. It's so stupid. Then we have Seth Green and his brother. I don't remember their names in the movie, but they are the con artists. Dwayne and Blaine. The con artist schemers.
As much as we said they're all B and C list actors, this was in the height of Seth Green's popularity and fame.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say he is solid, but he's always at this point he's mostly played supporting roles, right?
Yeah. No, true, and that's why he's not an A-lister, but like that was the height of like everyone knew Seth Green because
Yeah.
Austin Powers was super. Those movies are super famous. Like everyone knew him, people enjoyed him, but yeah, no, he wasn't a headline actor. And same thing with Amy Smart as well. Like this was kind of like the height of her popularity and fame as well. Again, not a big headline actress.
Oh my god! To tie this back to Ryan Reynolds for a second, have you ever seen Just Friends?
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're gonna do that movie probably around Christmas.
Okay.
And it is got to be in my top 10 favorite comedies of all time.
Really?
Yes. And probably closer to the top than you would expect.
Oh, I saw the poster, and I remember this movie coming out.
It's so good.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay,
but I recognize the poster.
I insist that we watch this movie together and then do an episode on it.
It's impossible to forget a picture of Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit.
Fat Ryan Reynolds. Yep.
With curly afro.
Yep.
It would be impossible to forget that image. So yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, I remember that this was a thing." I just never saw the movie, nothing about it.
We're going to watch that one. That's happening later this year. So oh my god. Yeah, so Amy's smart. She gets Nick out of his shell.
Yes.
Which is great. And that let's talk about another great interaction here. When he's hitting on her at the bar and he's talking to her about why can't I speak?
Lindbergh?
It's not coming out.
Lind?
I know how to. I'm like having a stroke.
Well, the funny thing is
there we go.
I have it muted, but I am watching Office Space, and Lumbergh is on screen right now.
Lindbergh, and he asks her like, you're reading the same book? I normally don't do this. You're reading the same book as I do. Oh, what part are you on? The part where he had his sex change, and she's like, oh yeah, ooh. He's like, what? Because he's super gullible.
Yeah,
and which is really funny.
He's flicking through the book trying to find the part about the sex change.
What's funny to me is he's so cynical about this race thing, but he like falls for that in a second. Like that's just it's just very silly. But when he says that to her, you're like he finds out she's a pilot. She's like, I'm a chopper pilot. He's like, are there a lot of female pilots? She has at least one. And that whole shtick of him like, oh man, like I'm as soon as I walk away, I'm gonna have something really funny or clever to say about that. And she says, "Mail it to me." And it's just such a good burn. It's just so good. Like she's like kind of like you're just
also very of its time.
Well. Well, yeah, yep, 100%.
That joke does not work now. Like there's no way.
No. But when he comes back and he says, "I should have said." Two if you count Lindbergh. And I thought it was hysterical, but I love like they play that off really well of her just like kind of just like not giving it to him. So, yeah. But I felt like they had good chemistry, those two characters.
They did. That made it work. It wouldn't have worked if they didn't work together.
It would have just been awkward.
Yeah.
But they do a good job. And then like him realizing that they're the only people that can fly right now is just another silly thing. That probably went on for too long, but it's...
Yeah, it almost became Family Guy running the joke too long. Next thing, yeah, you can fly. But no one else can fly.
You can fly. But no one else can fly. Stop it. Then we have the estranged mother-daughter.
With Whoopi Goldberg and her daughter.
Yep. Which was another really funny scene. They do great character intros.
Yes.
In the movie. So actually, jumping back to Nick, his character, the first thing it's a long running gag in like movies and TV shows with you go to check out of the hotel and there's a porno charge on the receipt. But this one is done really well, and honestly, all the credit goes to the woman behind the desk who delivers it because she is so funny. She goes,
it's her only scene, and she steals it.
Afro whores at 4:00, 5:00. It says that in the morning you watch The Grinch for 10 minutes and then change to Afro whores, and he's like freaking out about like he's like like shocked and appalled by it. And it's so funny, and I feel like that joke at that point had probably already gotten old, but for whatever, like because of this woman's delivery of it, it's just perfect. It's really funny because all I can think of is Friends. This happens in Friends. But
Oh, does it?
Joey actually did watch the movies, but he's watching it at other people's hotel rooms. So they're getting, and he's taking snacks from the minibar. But it's so silly. So you get his intro. The Bakers, the estranged mother-daughter relationship. The daughter on the phone, her company's about to go public. She's freaking out. She's like, just do it. Just get it done. And she crushes the phone with her hand. I'm like, how many times have I just wanted to do that? Like to tell somebody to just do their job and just like slam the computer down.
Well, the best part about it is like she does it and like so innocently will be Goldberg. Oh, but honey, your phone. I've got another one. We can get lots of phones. We can get as many phones as we need.
I carry extras. The two silly characters that Whoopi Goldberg was sitting with originally before her daughter comes in.
Yeah.
And she's explaining to them the situation. And they're just like sitting there sobbing as they're talking and meeting for the first time. It's just the situations that they wrote they're just really well done. You get John Lovitz.
Yep.
Father that basically hates his life and kids, it seems like. Right? From the minute that the two kids jump, collide heads, fall to the ground, and he goes, ooh, honey, the kids need you, and he runs out of the room. Like I was like, this guy's just the worst. But he's got some really funny lines in the movie.
Yeah, but you know what? He deserved Oscar consideration for just his face acting at the Barbie Museum.
Yep.
It is, which if you're listening and you haven't seen it, it's not a museum for Barbies.
Nope.
This is a Jewish family who sees a sign on the road for the Barbie Museum, and the young daughter says, oh, I want to go to the Barbie Museum. And it is a museum for Klaus Barbie, who I don't know if that person is real or not, but he is a Nazi officer, and it's all skinheads and white supremacists at this thing. And the faces that John Lovitz makes as they go through and they're narrating Klaus Barbie's life, his face is fucking priceless.
It's like this, it's comedic shock and terror, and it's
somehow
funny.
He keeps ratcheting it up to another level each time something more appalling is said.
Yeah, and like, whatever he's shifting eyes.
You get to 20.
Right. I was watching it with Kim, and as soon as it cuts to him the first time, she cracked up and she goes, "Look at his face," and it's so true. It was just so ridiculous, and then they were trying to back out of the room. You're leaving. Well, we've got a 3:30 book burning, and we have a christening for one of our Christian, non-Jewish family
blood
friends.
Related, blood related family. Very old, very German, very Catholic family. The Himmler-Hessen von Sturichtenbergs.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you insane? This is Hitler's car.
Yes, then he steals Adolf Hitler's car.
And this is what I'm talking about. These are the scenes, though, that you can't see coming. Him driving the car through the World War II veteran.
No.
Uh-oh.
It's them driving the car, and first, like, I can't believe we still Hitler's car, to then everyone's getting a little too comfortable in Hitler's car.
Yep.
Followed by the two-part seemingly
Hitler's
innocuous sight gags that just seem like a thing on its own, of him smearing the lipstick on the steering wheel from Eva Braun, then him accidentally getting the lighter popped into his mouth and burning his tongue. Yep. And then the scene takes off, and it's fine. And then he crashes into the World War II thing and smashes his face on the steering wheel, which has then smeared the lipstick across his upper lip.
It's so perfect.
And now he looks like Adolf Hitler and cannot speak because the letter has burned his tongue.
So it sounds like
he's screaming in German. And he looks picture perfect like Adolf Hitler.
Right. Slamming the podium and throwing his hand up in the air. Oh my God. It's so fun. But the first part of that scene, though, when you're getting too comfortable in the car, and the son is playing the harmonica, and he's like, put that down. And he's like, it's Hitler's harmonica. He goes, you're driving his car. He's like, yeah, but I'm not sucking on the dashboard.
Yeah, I'm driving it, but not with my mouth. I'm not sucking on the dashboard. Stop playing that. Why? You can't play that. It's Hitler's harmonica. Why can't I play it? Because it's Hitler's harmonica.
Right. Right. I do not want to work at Home Depot.
I still use that line to this day.
Yep.
Because anytime, like, my dad's like, oh, could you run to Home Depot and pick me something up? And I'll be like, I do not want to go to Home Depot.
I love that. I love that there's other people that use it. But
Yes.
so that's another set of characters. Then we have Polini, who is
my mama is gone and my papa is gone.
I am all alone. But I think it's like his only interaction with John Lovett's character is there when he comes into the room the first time. Oh my God, this room, it's beautiful. Have you seen this room? Where in it? Oh man, they just, it's just so silly. We got that. That's really it. That's the whole list of them, right? We did.
Also, hang on a second. While we're just talking cast here,
yeah,
the guy who played Mr. Grisham. Do you know who that guy is?
He was in Arrested Development.
Yes.
Yeah.
You cannot understand my excitement when I was watching Arrested Development and saw him. I was like, oh my God, that's the guy from Rat Race. And he was the whole From British Eyes Only and Mr. F joke kept surrounding his character. And so I just have joy when I think of that guy.
So good. So good. So then let's talk about for a second all the antics that go on in this movie. And it's just, the movie is pure shenanigans from go, which is John Cleese's word to let them start racing. So we have all these different things that get in their way. And that's what makes it so much fun. We have these stupid things that slow them down. So like when the mother-daughter are trying to rent a car and it's the trainee that is checking them out.
Would you like to purchase collision insurance?
How much is it? We'll take it. There's
press
that.
Shift.
And there's
Press shift.
No, shift. So we have that. Then we have the angry cabbie. So that slows them down. That's the first thing that slows them down. Then, what was it? Dwayne and Wayne.
Blaine.
Dwayne and Blaine. They slow everybody down by taking out the control tower, which is an incredible scene.
Yes.
Also
defy you to not laugh at that scene.
Right. With the truck driving up the control tower, Seth Green holding onto the wheel, swinging with his legs dangling because the truck is vertical, and the other guy climbing the ladder, trying to run away from the car that is chasing him vertically up.
Every single rung that he goes up, turning and yelling at him, telling him to stop the car.
Stop the car!
Despite the fact that the radar dish is inexorably pulling the car up. Airborne. It is fully airborne, and then pulling it up the ladder. Dwayne, stop the car! Dwayne, stop the car! But terrible tongue piercing.
With him landing on the windshield and the two of them crying in relief.
Yes.
It's so stupid, and I love it. We have
also the song they're playing the whole time too. That famous old composition that I can't remember what it's called.
Flight of the Bumblebees?
I forget what the one that used to be in the Ritz commercials in the 90s. As the cars move faster and faster.
Because they started in really slow while they're hooking the cable up, and then all hell breaks loose. Oh my God, those two characters are so funny. And you know what's funny? You can't understand the brother at all in the beginning, and he does a very good job of cleaning it up just a little bit as the movie goes on. So by the end, Seth Green is no longer translating for you, and you understand him.
Yeah,
which is just it. That's great. What would Mom do as they're handing the cash back? Oh my God. We have the angry cabbie.
Oh yeah,
which is another great, which leads to some of the best things that happen in this movie, which is everything that happens to Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
So getting stranded in the desert with no pants because he steals his pants.
Yes.
Which is just
a
weird.
His pants.
Yep. which is like necessary for the rest of the scenes because he has to get the clothes from the bus driver. But so not only that, he's stranded in the desert and he's freaking out and he's like but when he gets water the first time,
when he drinks,
it's so funny. He's so believable. Like, he's been stranded in the desert and he's so super excited. And he's like, he body shakes when he drinks the water because he's getting hydrated.
Did they take inspiration from that scene when writing Finn getting the water on Jakku?
Oh my god! No, that can't. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s performance in that could not have been topped. If Finn did that, it would have been an entirely different movie. So then you get the I Love Lucy bus, which another thing. I defy you to tell me where this is going. You can't know.
Cuba Gooding Jr. screaming at the top of his lungs, "Shut up, you crazy Lucy bitches! Shut up!"
Yep.
You wooing the whole vacation.
That just seemed weird that was in there at all.
Yeah,
but the
in a different time.
I'm not a bus driver. Don't say that.
No, I'm not a bus driver.
The one of Lucy's hair is getting set on fire. The bathroom overflowing with bubbles. Like, just all of it is nonsense. I just want to know how did this get written?
I don't know.
It's so bizarre. Like, it's like, no, not crazy enough. We can make something else work in this space. You know what? Throw a hot air balloon. You know what? Add a cow. You're like, how did this happen? What mind did this come from?
Yeah, let's have a hot air balloon. Let's have guys chasing that hot air balloon in a car through a field full of cows. And the cow stepped in the lasso loop at the end of the rope, and now the cow is airborne, and the two guys are having a pitched battle 500 feet in the air on the cow.
Great.
Spraying milk at each other with the udders.
While the other brother is on the front of the car that is on cruise control, still thinks his brother's in the driver's seat.
Until he looks up and sees him flying.
Yes. So he sees him, looks back at the driver's seat, and then lets out this ridiculous scream. His screams, he's Dwayne, right?
No, Blaine.
He's Blaine. His screams are perfect. And I can't help but crack up every time he does it.
So the guy who wrote this movie worked on Saturday Night Live for quite some time.
That makes sense.
And on the David Letterman show for quite some time.
That makes total sense. Because the whole movie is a series of skits stitched together.
Yeah. And he also wrote, I think, the entire show Monk.
Okay. I also think that's why Seth Green works so well in this. He does a very good job at those, they're one-off pieces. They're short, and this is the thing that we're doing, and it's we go through this scene and they move on. They're tied together loosely in the fact that this is a race that goes on, but each one of them is this small little sketch, which makes a lot of sense when you think about who wrote it. That's really cool. Newman,
he was actually really good in this.
Really good. First off, runs over. I lost his name again.
Polini?
Mr. Bean. Polini. Runs him down. Oh, crap. It's Jessica Allred.
I love how she pops up multiple times where
I saw the whole
running
thing.
The scam
yeah.
Where he's going to fall down the stairs.
This is gross negligence. You're going to get so much money out of this.
And they're like, oh, shit.
So that whole, again, how do you, who comes up with this? This guy is transporting a human heart in a cooler because the plane. Well, you know what? This is the other thing that deserves Wait, hang on. This deserves a big nod because it is tied into all the other nonsense that has happened. It's not it. They're seemingly one off, all of these sketches, and they go perfectly. If you just hold them off on their own, but they are tied together pretty well. The fact that the air traffic control is gone, so they can't fly the heart somewhere. So he has to drive it. That's well done. That's thought out.
Usually they just stick one of these things on a plane, but all the planes are grounded. So
and he's really feeling himself. I get to drive. I'm really important, because I'm driving this heart.
You know what we're hauling back there?
ass.
Ass. We're hauling ass.
You just told me.
No. I've got a heart. What? That's right. A human heart. And then silence. Do you want to see it?
It's been cooped up in there for 7 hours. It needs air.
Listen, I'm not a doctor, but I am quite certain that heart needs anything that's not air.
Right. What's also one of the scenes that like it's very easy to miss in there after he runs over like the tailpipe that drops and the heart goes flying out and Polini's trying to find it on the floor. His feet are up on like they're on the window. Like he's like upside down. And if you're not paying close enough attention, you won't see that.
Yeah, no, like he like almost kicks him in the face.
It's great. It's so silly.
I think I found it. No, that's an apple.
It's a caramel apple. Why?
A caramel apple.
Why? And then the heart goes out the window, which we meet the dog, and and that is where we get our whole drifter scene. Well, where are we gonna find a drifter? Hey, where's your mom? Oh,
wait, hang on a second. Oh, Enrico.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Enrico is a girl's name. No, I wasn't. No pun intended. What pun is that? But yeah, look at nope, all alone. Look, a drifter. Oh, and this was another great thing because this was really fun to watch this with Kim with. He jumps onto like an Acela.
Yes.
Right? It's coming by and he jumps in between the cars. And Kim goes, oh, is he dead? I said, no, he's on the train. And she just laughs. She just starts laughing.
It's also great too because the man who is completely clueless the entire movie and is not getting the fact that Wayne Knight is slowly processing the fact that I'm going to murder you and take your heart.
Yep.
But somehow, still after this very long thing where he's looking at him, not only like he's looking at him like he's going to murder him, he looks like he's going to eat him.
Yeah, it's weird.
And he just has the presence. Finally, the only time he has any self-awareness the entire movie. Oh, look, a drifter. Let's kill him. And Wayne Knight falls for it.
Oh, my God. So good. Then he gets that whole scene with the baby on the train.
God,
where is the key? I think I'm touching it.
Where is the key?
And then the narcolepsy playing a role, like coming back and playing a role.
With him falling asleep with the key in the lock.
Yep. It's awesome. And then I guess the final piece of this, the Smash Mouth concert. I get like you. This is what I'm talking about. You don't know where this movie's going. You don't know going into this movie that they're going to end up at a Smash Mouth concert for Feed the Earth.
You know, everything about Smash Mouth I can't see coming because did you see the pub that Smash Mouth got this week online?
No.
Why don't you just talk about things for a minute while I go and find that?
Okay. So the finale of this movie ends up at the concert, right? And we have the Smash Mouth concert, but they basically drove a double-decker bus through the platform and they see the bag hang in the air and they're trying to grab it. And as they pull it down, the curtain opens and they're on stage at a concert. And they don't even realize because they're so fixated on this bag. So what's great about this scene is they have no idea that they're at a charity concert, and that it's a donation thing, like where people are probably like calling in and stuff and donating money. And the way that they wrote the dialogue to line up perfectly with what they're doing and how it sounds like they're being really generous is perfect. Like, we were on the bus and we decided to share all the money. But they don't know.
Why did we decide this?
Right, but they don't know that they're giving it to this. Oh my God, it's so funny. And then in the end, everybody's like, they're really feeling themselves. They're feeling good about themselves as they're throwing the money into the bag, right, and donating it to this charity. And then Dwayne doesn't want to. He's holding on to it. And he's like, no, like you can do what you want. But this is when we get the first scene that's not translated from his brother, like the "What would mom do" scene, and it's so down from heaven, and he's just like, oh, this is just so sad and absurd. It's just so funny. The movie is just so fun to watch. I really enjoy it.
I found what I was looking for. I knew
got?
the story, but I wanted to find a little bit more specifics. So I think this was an old interview by DJ Khaled, and which I don't know the whole context, but what I saw, because it was what was being passed around the internet, was a tweet from The Root, which like shrunk down what he had said and said, DJ Khaled says he doesn't perform oral sex, but expects it from his wife because he's the king. Quote, different rules for men. So that tweet was retweeted by the Smash Mouth account and said, a king who doesn't is no king at all.
Okay.
So Smash Mouth got a ton of support for that tweet.
That's really funny. What is happening? I didn't even. Sorry, I'm speechless for here for a minute. If you were to have told me that they all died, I probably would have been like, oh, like that's probably something that could have happened that I would have missed. Like that's equally shocking to me.
The funniest bit of interaction that I saw around all of that was someone commenting on the Smash Mouth tweet saying, oh, no. Well, I guess we know how the band got its name.
That's it. That's it. We're done.
I'm gonna, so I have to try and break your intro every week. And I have to just try and break you at some point during an episode every week.
You have to get us to the point where the show just ends because I'm done. And that time is now. That's it.
You don't want to talk about the helicopter chase of a pickup truck through the desert?
Okay. All right. You do it because
he's back.
that was actually... You know what's funny about that scene? Again, it's tied back to a previous conversation. She throws a can of paint out of the helicopter, and your immediate reaction should be,
where the fuck did that paint come from?
Why has she got a can of paint? But they're getting the whole fleet painted.
And she's flying trips back and forth all week.
Right, so I'm wondering like how much of it does feel like, it's funny that you said that. I did not know that about the that it was written by someone that worked on SNL, because it does feel like writing the sketch out and then finding ways to tie it in and then improving the sketch and then tying it in and improving it more. Like, it sounds like what they do like on their weekly basis for turning around something.
Yeah.
Probably just on a bigger scale for this. Like, it's a lot of it is well thought out. As
there
ridiculous
is incredible
as it is.
Connective tissue in this movie. It's actually, for a stupid comedy, is really well made.
Right. Not a lot of plot holes. There's one glaring plot hole.
What?
Or not plot hole, I guess, chain of events. After the Bubbles fiasco on the bus, they're just gone. The next time we're at the bus, it's all clear and everything's fine.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
That was the only one that was disconnected.
Yeah, I guess maybe he opened the door and they got carried out.
I don't know, but like I don't know. I'm not upset about it. So
no,
it's like whatever.
Also, it's just the whole thing with how he crashes the bus.
Yes.
But yeah, no. I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, "This is a batshit insane scene." As she's throwing these fucking cans, the idiot tries to climb out the side of the pool, and the pool explodes. It's always like my worst fear of having an above ground pool. Mm-hmm. Was that the pool would just explode one day. And like her going on a high-speed chase in a fucking helicopter, chasing this truck and getting him to run off the road and crash his fucking truck.
So absurd.
Well, she's screaming like,
we just broke about 130 federal laws. We.
And like I always like, I've thought of the other things that Amy Smart was in. I've never seen her do like manic insane like that.
Yeah. And
it's just like, where did that come from?
She's
and it's
straight
hysterical.
up crazy.
She laid into it. She really leaned into that role.
Mm-hmm. That was.
I mean, I'm thinking of her in like, she's usually typecasted as like the pretty ditzy girlfriend, like that. Mm-hmm. Like that's what she normally is.
But yeah, she's over the top psycho in this, which is really funny because you don't know until that scene.
Yeah,
And then
you
it's
can
like
tell
starts
she's got a
coming
little bit of
together.
an edge, but it just seems like a wit. The whole line.
Yeah,
mail it to me.
yeah. The only other thing I want to touch on that I have from my notes is the Squirrel Lady.
Oh, Kathy Bates.
And and how that leads to them driving. Again, just connected story. Driving the car off the cliff, but not just driving the car off the cliff, landing on a pile of cars of people that she's done this to before,
like hundreds of them,
and they died because a skeleton comes out holding the bag of nuts for the squirrels. It's funny. That skeleton is so clearly fake because it actually has the little hook on the top of its head that's used in Party City. But I don't even care.
That was the only scene that almost like stretched too long, where like it started to drag a little bit. But again, the payoff is worth it. Them driving off the fucking cliff.
and then that's how they end up going towards the rocket car, which we mentioned like way back in the beginning of this episode. But any other questions? How do you start it? That's a great question. There's a green lever.
Actually, I think my favorite part of that whole thing is after they drive the rocket car and it like scrambles their brains and they wander off.
Rocket car.
Yeah, we came in a rocket car. Oh wow, that sounds great.
On the bus. I'm not crazy, lady. Let me off the bus. Oh man,
what about Cuba Gooding dressed as a scarecrow?
Dressed as a scarecrow.
Cuba Gooding, after he runs out of the bus and is running through the streets again, comes across a horse in a field, and he sees and he's again naked again, and because he had taken off when he says I'm not a bus driver, he starts peeling off all of the bus driver uniform, and he's now naked in the desert again. He sees a horse in the middle of like a farm field, right next to a scarecrow next to corn. And he takes the clothes off the scarecrow and rides the horse into town.
I forgot that that's what he was doing. And the horse is just like is just done by the end and just like can't make it.
Well, it's like a plow horse. It's not like he like acted like he jumped on some sort of like Kentucky Derby like steed.
Yeah.
And it's like an old plow horse that's like walking like 3 miles an hour. So he doesn't know how to ride the horse. He's like almost falling off the horse. He's wearing like clothes with no elastic because they are on a scarecrow.
Sorry, this made me where my mind went here. There's that. We have him on the horse. We have John Lovitz and his family in the 18-wheeler that's driving them there. We've got the monster truck.
After he roofed his wife and kids.
Right. We've got We've got the monster truck. We've got the broken car, and we have the two women getting off the school bus. But if you backtrack for a second to the diner where he roofied his wife and kids, there's another great line buried in there, which is when the Nazis show up and he goes, honey, wake up, Third Reich's here.
Oh yeah.
and then he drops to the floor because she's like asleep and he's trying to hide and he goes, SS in the parking lot, what do we do?
I forgot about the Third Reich's here.
It's so funny. I love it. And oh man, I can't say it enough. This movie's just a blast. I'm glad I rewatched it for this.
It is a stupid, funny movie that is smarter than it has any right to be.
If you got this far and haven't seen it, just watch it because that honestly doesn't ruin anything because it's all in the delivery.
Yeah, delivery and some of the visuals are just like. Also, the cow screams in English.
Yep.
One of the few times that we get intersection of the stories where the cow is hanging from the bottom of the hot air balloon and it smacks up against the windshield of the bus that Cuba Gooding is driving.
Yep. And
the cow mouth moves and screams, "Oh God, help me! Somebody please help me!"
Yeah, what is that? What it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember I had to watch it a bunch of times. Like when I heard someone, I thought it was the other guy.
Yeah,
that they were fighting on the hot air balloon.
But it's the cow's mouth.
The cow's mouth is moving when whose words come out.
That's absurd. Oh my God, this movie is so much fun. But yeah, like I said, if you've gotten this far and you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back because then you can just enjoy all of these things with us because it's so much fun and just John Cleese, what a gem. What a gem. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Flix and a Six. Thank you for joining us. If you want to keep the conversation going, I'm at AEJ Costanzo on Twitter and Instagram. Al is at Alessandro B1187. Check back in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, cheers.